The Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for April 16, 2019. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr.
No, you're not Galloway.
Not here.
Boraski?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dent?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Let the record show Mr. Galloway had work this evening, so he's not able to be here. First item on our agenda, before we start, supervisors had an executive session at the end of our last meeting in March and also one before this meeting. I'm not sure who's taking, Ms. Gallagher or Mr. Clark? Which one are you taking? Who wants to take that?
The executive session at the end of the meeting, following the meeting on March 19th, was for personnel matters. The executive session before this evening's meeting was regarding contract negotiations and various personnel matters.
Okay, thank you. All right, first item on our agenda this evening is a certificate of appropriateness for 35 Yardley Avenue. This is removal of asphalt 3-tab shingle roof and install timberline dimensional shingle roof. Mr. Gray, want to add anything to that?
Yes, property owner's name is Mr. and Mrs. John Curran. This has been reviewed and approved by the HARB Board in early April. The board is asked to consider this approval.
Okay.
Can you speak a little louder and a little to the back? Can't really hear that well.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I think we're on. All right, again, this is certificate of appropriateness for 35 Yardley Avenue, replacing a roof in the historic district. This was approved, as Mr. Gray said, by the Historical and Architectural Review Board. Jeannie and John Curran are the owners. I don't see them here. Oh, there they are. So Mr. Curran's here. So if anybody, any questions or comments from Mr. Curran regarding the project?
No.
I have none.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Any public comment needed? Okay. No hands. All right. So a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 35 Yardley Avenue.
I'll make the motion.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, Ms. Curran, I'm good to go. Okay. All right. So for public comment on the resident sign-in sheet, Tony Batiste.
Tony Batiste, 218 Gloucester Road, Fairless Hills. Fiscal responsibility. In many of the notices the township posts in the paper for ordinances, etc., it says that, and I quote, has been drafted for the health, welfare, and safety of the residents of Falls Township. So we've heard pretty much about the health and safety regarding Elcon. So let's look at the welfare. If there is a toxic spill, it's not if, probably it's more like when, or a gas release, who covers the damage that may be ongoing? It may be immediate, such as, correcting the spill, sopping it up, if you're going to sop it up, but I understand from attending the Planning Commission or the zoning board, that our soil around here is very permeable. So it may not be a matter of just scooping up that dirt and moving it somewhere else. It may be sinking in and spreading. So if there is this spill or air release, we're going to have all those costs. If the company decides to take a hike because they don't want to cover it, they're from Israel. So how are we going to get hold of them to pay for it? Probably not. If it's a trucking spill, is the company going to cover it? The trucking company. Again, they're more likely to go out of business than pay the millions of dollars that it's going to cost. So there could be, down the road, a loss of jobs, like local businesses that want to leave because we're not going to be able to afford to visit them. People who get out, but those people who have to stay because they can't afford to sell their house because nobody wants to buy it. that's going to be tough on the community. It's going to be tough on our taxes because there's going to be less people to pay the taxes, and are they going to be able to pay them? So it's not just an immediate effect, it's an ongoing effect. So who's going to pay for all this? Is the township going to cover the cost? Because I know we were supposed to have this big savings account from waste management, but we are using a lot of the waste management funds to cover the yearly cost of the budget. And that money isn't there. So now what? That's a problem. So now, then maybe we'll need to look at the county. Is the county going to cover it? Probably not. They're not doing much about the Horsham, the air base. So that leaves the state. Well, the state's broke. So who's going to cover it? Are we going to go to a national emergency to cover it? They're not doing so well with the PFOSs that the air base has, so what makes us think that they're going to come here and cover us? We need you to think about that, to think about the fiscal responsibility for our township and our residents, along with the safety and the health. So it is the welfare of the residents that I'm asking you to consider. Thank you.
Joan Graves?
Good evening.
Evening.
During the last meeting, I had also spoken about there was a toxic spill and who would be responsible. And I think the answer at the very end was that would be PennDOT. But I was wondering if there was any type of plan in place for, these are state roads, so if the local responders respond immediately if there's a spill, and then up the chain of command, who is notified next? Is there actually a plan in place? And if there is, can you post that on the Falls Township website so everybody can see, exactly what plan there is if, when a spill occurs? I think that would be appreciated by everybody. So, and that way everybody would be aware of what, who to contact, especially if it occurs and no one responds immediately. Individuals are there. There may be individuals from the township. So if that can be the plan, if there is a plan, I don't know. I've looked for something. I couldn't find anything. So if that can be posted, that'd be great. Then I've had this letter composed for about a month now, and I was vacillating with respect to whether I should send it or not send it. So I'm going to read it for the benefit of all the people that are here and for Falls Township people and everybody. And this is to Mr. Clark, and I also sent a copy to all the supervisors today. So the letter reads, Dear Mr. Clark, my name is Joan M. Graves, and I have been a resident of Falls Township for over 40 years. On behalf of the Falls Township residents, I would request that a question be placed on the November 5th, 2019 ballot regarding the facility that Elcon Recycling Services proposed to build in Falls Township. I respectfully request that the residents be polled in this manner, since it is our right to oppose a hazardous toxic waste processing, not recycling, facility in our township. I propose the question to read, or it can be deviated from a little bit. Do you approve of Elcon building a hazardous toxic waste facility in Falls Township and the transport of liquid toxic waste over Bucks County state-regulated roads? And I would appreciate it when you respond to me if you would please advise the next step that need to be taken for the question to appear on the general election ballot in the fall of 2019. Thank you for your attention. Now, I did get a copy of from the Board of Elections with respect to resolutions and what can be entered as questions. I do know that advisory questions are not permissible in the state of Pennsylvania, but this would be different. it would be a resolution, and I don't know the whole process. I'm doing all the research right now, finding out exactly what needs to be done. But I also saw something, just so you know, I saw something on, I think it was Channel 6 News, about a resolution right now that has been accepted. It was accepted by the solicitor in Delaware County. So it was, let's see, it was Lansdowne and Marple Newtown Township. And it was a resolution about, and I have to go back and read it again, but basically the people in the township wanted to, I guess it's a liquor license. They want to be able to bring wine and beer into the restaurants, in certain restaurants in those townships which border Philadelphia. And that's the way that they want to go, because if they most of the people leave the township. That way they don't have to worry about bringing a bottle with them or anything, or the two townships. But I was thinking, if they got that question on their ballot, why can we not be able to vote on something similar to this? Why can't we vote on something that's dangerous coming into our township? I think the people need to have a say. So whether you opened your mail or not, but when you get home, you'll see that the email is there. And if you could just let me know what the next steps are, what we need to do. And Mr. Clark, I sent you the original, and I will provide you with, I will send you registered mail, an actual original of the email. So we would appreciate it if you would just, let the residents of Falls Township have a voice. Thanks so much.
Sharon Furlong.
I didn't think I was going to read, so I didn't even read this. And most of this is really boring. So I am going to hand it to you, but it's also really important because today I'm speaking about trucks. And first, a lot of statistics and a lot of facts. And again, I'm not going to go through all of it because I didn't expect to speak. And again, most of this is going to make people's brains go kaplooey. So, but according to the U.S. Department of Transportation's report titled "Large Trucks and Bus Crash Facts of 2017," a very sexy title, truck accidents had declined from 2005 through 2008, but began increasing from 2009 till the close of the period prior to the writing of the report in March of this year. Indeed, fatal crashes involving trucks rose approximately 40% from 2009 till 2017, with one-year increases in figures ranging from 8 to 10% in each of the most recent years. In addition, injuries stemming from non-fatal crashes also precipitously rose. In Pennsylvania itself, the state saw a steady and high rate of accidents with fatalities averaging approximately 160 a year over the course of the last 10 years. Accidents involving trucks that resulted in injuries rather than death also remained steadily high, ranging from 4,200 to 4,650 incidents, dwarfing the surrounding states. This is Pennsylvania. Increases were in rural and suburban regions of the state as opposed to its cities. In regards to, and this is the important part, incidents for hazardous waste tanker truck accidents. Statistics gleaned from one report from 1 year, 2002, also called Hazardous Materials Serious Crash Analysis Phase 2 in April 2005, indicated that actual analyzed crashes of this particular type of vehicle when the tanker was carrying hazardous liquids of varying kinds numbered approximately 721 for 1 year, with spills occurring in 175 of those events. The report estimated, however, that the actual numbers of this incident that were unreported to this team because they had a limited mandate of what they were doing would be approximately 1,191 crashes with 254 spills with an estimated 18% spill rate. Is your brain going like... So, with the highest incidence occurring on, get this, entrance and exit ramps, which are very particular to our situation with Elcon. The report stated spills occurred more often when the driver was at fault as opposed to being hit by another vehicle, and approximately 60% of all crashes were actually caused by drivers of other vehicles. So the greater rate of spills, however, caused more often when the crash was precipitated by the driver, him or herself, and was at a greater rate for less experienced, younger ages, or older, meaning older 65 drivers, as would be expected. Alcohol and drugs was only indicated for approximately 50% of the examined incidents, and that therefore leaves the cause of a greater number of accidents completely unidentified, which is worrisome in and of itself. In addition, the type of tanker vehicle used, and they named the types, which is more numbers, made a significant difference as to whether a spillage actually occurred. Rollover incidents were counted and examined separately, and the report stated that rollovers occur in approximately 22% of all crashes, with full tanks most likely to roll over, correlating with the tanker center of gravity. I told you, this is just, your mind goes crazy. So it goes on, and then there was another more recent report done on how does a truck handle on the road, whether it's half full, 3/4 full, or completely full, and whether it rolled over. And so they basically said that a driver has to have very special knowledge of load dynamics, and therefore has to have a special endorsement on their CDL license, because that's how important this stuff is. So the last thing I wanted to quote was one more source regarding an actual accident in our area. Well, our brethren over in New Jersey. On February 22nd of 2019, a tanker truck did roll over and spilled 6,000 gallons of fuel onto Route 9 in Marlborough, New Jersey, forcing the entire area of that route to be closed. This is an article by Kayla Katchmeyer, Ken Serrano, and Andrew Goldswart of Asbury Park Press, and they wrote about not only what happened in this crash, but they outlined 6 dangers of tanker truck accidents. They were rollovers, explosions, chemical burns, fire, and road spill causing hydroplaning and car pileups, and respiratory dangers from inhalation of spilled liquids. So the entire Bucks County hazmat team consists of 2 paid staff members and 32 volunteers. They serve already 200 chemical plant facilities. Do the math.
Okay, thank you. Amanda, is it Lapham? Is that right? Okay.
Hello. Hi, my name is Amanda Lapham. I'm the Bucks County organizer for Penn Environment. We're a statewide environmental nonprofit group, and we have thousands of members and supporters in Lower Bucks County that I'm fortunate enough to represent. So I'm here to speak on their behalf and also my concerns for the Elcon plant. I hear constantly from our members in the area that this plant is the last thing that Falls Township needs. Everyone in the room this month, last month, and throughout this whole process has spoken very powerfully about the risk of this plant and what it would pose to the residents here. And I can also speak to that risk and want to just bring up some points about that again. The Delaware River provides drinking water for 15 million people in 4 states. There is a reason that in 2015, when the project was being proposed, the Philadelphia Water Department, which provides clean drinking water for 1.7 million people just a few miles south of here, came out publicly with concerns about this project that I want to just bring up again. So this plant poses a significant risk to our drinking water. The regulatory agencies overseeing this process are basing permits on best case scenarios, on no accidents, no spills. We at Penn Environment know that that's not the case. It's never if, it's when, like it was said earlier. Because this would be the first U.S. Elcon facility, these regulators aren't looking at the best ways these best case scenarios often fail. Proper hazardous waste treatment is very important, and it is as important that it not occur a stone's throw away from the Delaware River, again, providing drinking water to 15 million people. The Baxter drinking water intake for the Philadelphia Water Department is downstream of this proposed project on the Delaware River. The Baxter intake provides the 60% of the drinking water for those 1.7 million people. Because the Delaware is a tidal river, any release of hazardous waste or chemicals forms a chemical plume that moves upstream and downstream with the tide. That means that not only would a spill flow past the intakes that provide water for the region, but the tides would actually hold on to that pollution in front of this intake and other water intakes for the city and suburbs. The most conservative estimates show that any sort of spill at this facility could endanger the drinking water of a huge part of the region. Our regulatory agencies are failing to protect us. So it is left to our leaders, like you in this room, to Falls Township and people here to protect not only their citizens, but all of us, Penn Environment, and our supporters in Lower Bucks County, and the larger region we represent urges you to use every tool you have at your disposal to oppose this plant. Thank you.
Laura Mikowski.
Barbara Mahalski. I'm a Lenape Indian. I stand before you in my homeland as a descendant of the original people who once lived here peacefully and in harmony with all the natural resources. We have continually struggled against the genocide, not only of our people, but of the environment, and have endeavored to protect all our natural resources. We have fought against the dissemination of our homeland, especially in regard to the Delaware River, which we call the Lenape Soupe. The proposed proximity of this facility to the river has a direct impact on the water supply of over 15 million residents, along with the four-legged, the winged ones, the fin ones, the creepy crawlers, the plant people, and the rock people. The air is precious to us. We all share the same breath of life. Our community has suffered enough from waste management, Tully Town landfill, and Roman halls. Corporate greed does not seem enough to notice the air, only the taste of money. It's bad enough already that Bucks County already fails in the ground level ozone pollution. This proposed waste site will unquestionably make our air quality in the region worse. Pennsylvania ranks 5th in the hazardous chemical spills and transportation accidents. With all the trucks coming in and out, this proposed facility would undoubtedly increase. This facility will not benefit our community. It will destroy our environment, weaken our immune systems, harm our water supply, and the list goes on and on. We must take a stand in treating the earth better. Chief Seattle once said, everything affects the earth, affects the sons of the earth. So if you want this facility here, you better take a hard look at your family and the loved ones in your life and your generations yet to come, because this facility will forever alter their life. I strongly oppose.
Russell Zerbo.
Hello. I'm Russell Zerbo. I work for the nonprofit Clean Air Council, and I appreciate this time. On page 249 of Elcon Recycling's air quality application, they cite that they are seeking a facility-wide permit limit of 25 tons of nitrogen oxides per year. In other places of their permit application, this number is 23.4, which they got from lowering their hours of operation. not their total hours of operation, but just supposedly the hours that they would be using their burner. The facility is seeking a permit for 8,760 hours per year, which is all the hours in the year. But to get their nitrogen oxide number down, they propose to only run their boilers 8,400 hours a year. So even with this lowering, on page 249, there is a footnote that says that Elcon is pursuing a 25 tons per year facility-wide permit limit. That is the exact threshold for a major source of air pollution in a county like Bucks that fails federal standards for ground level ozone. And not only does Bucks fail, but it has more orange ozone days than Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. It has the most orange ozone days of any county in Pennsylvania. It should be subject to new source review and prevention of significant deterioration. But Elcon has attempted to skirt these permitting requirements throughout their application process. I also wanted to note that there is no applicable zoning for this facility. Just by virtue of there being nothing like this facility in the United States, or even in the world, Elcon operates a facility in Israel that isn't at the capacity that they are proposing. Go on their website. They have a page, Israel Facility, that details their facility in Israel processes solid waste in addition to a lower amount of liquid waste. This proposal is fundamentally different from their proposal in Israel. And even if it wasn't, by law in the United States, you shouldn't be able to consider. In applying for something to DEP, you have to prove that you have a good record. They have no record. Zero. They submitted permit documents to the state in Hebrew. But again, even with the U.S. Steel compound's very generous resource recovery zoning that was made to capture the Wheelabrator trash incinerator and the soil incinerator that's on that compound, this is not a resource recovery facility. It does not apply to that zoning. There are some other hazardous waste treatment plants in the United States. There is one in the West Desert of Utah, Aragonite, Utah, the Clean Harbors facility. No one lives there. No one. Look at a picture of it. It is in the middle of the desert. And they still have a infamous track record. It is not a clean facility, even for something in the desert. East Liverpool, Ohio, has an incredibly dangerous waste treatment facility, hazardous waste incinerator that has created a cancer cluster in East Liverpool, Ohio. You don't even have to look up the facility. EPA has declared it a environmental disaster area. And this is a permitted facility and at the time when they built it, they said, oh, it's going to follow all the permits. It's going to be a safe facility. And now we're trying to pick up the pieces from this being built. Again, in a rural area of Ohio. This is not a rural area. This is on the river. Look at that picture. Might as well be an island. Thank you.
Yep. Jackie Palmer.
Jackie Palmer, 123 Forest Drive, Holland, Pennsylvania. And while I'm not a resident, I was told by our municipal authority, we get all our water in the summer straight. They switch the pipe straight from the Philadelphia area. I'm opposed to Elcon because our air is already polluted. I know that when we had the meeting where the DEP was talking about the fact that Elcon themselves went to the expense of having monitoring that would talk about where the different gases and the different would be. here's what it really comes down to. We all know when you monitor something, you compare it to a background level. So, again, to reiterate what some people have said, we already do have problems, and by adding another major industrial development, which by its very nature is going to be perhaps at times not really handling the hazardous waste, you've got to turn a machine on and a machine off. They talk about the maximum 1,800 degrees in terms of taking these things and obliterating them, but they really aren't. As one other man said at another talk, they're just compounding them. So it's not like we're really, in a large scale, going to be helping anyone. And I thank you for the hard work you do, and I'm so sad that you're in the position where there will be any pressure because of, quite frankly, something that must have gone wrong in the past, that somebody would feel that this group would be entitled to having a promise that was, I don't know what the term is, grandfathered in, whatever, any kind of a tax relief, and to feel that you have to find some way to clean this mess up. Cleaning it up is not having a company that's merely going to put a concrete bathtub to supposedly protect spills. I do not trust what I've seen over the last 4 years. I do feel that while the DEP may not be able to consider the record, perhaps you can, again, I believe you already know this. For 6 months, they were told they were on probation because things didn't come the way they said they would. Well, they're on their third 6-month probation period. Again, God bless you. I think it's really sad that we're talking about a situation with the high respiratory rates and other rates of disease that we have, and that we're all finding out now how many dangerous things were done that people didn't know. We know now. We know that you can't. I don't believe we should be adding more. If you look at your map, a high enough percentage of your map is already industrial. But you're all elected by and representing, and thank you for helping the other part that are the people. Thank you.
Jared Fredo?
Hi, I'm Jared Fredo. I live in Levittown, 133 Pamela Court. I just wanted to verify, do you have the authority to prevent the facility? You do?
Yes.
Okay, and then is there a benefit that, like, I'm not seeing or something, you know, 'cause, okay. So, you know, I would think that your the reason that you would get involved with the Board of Supervisors would be to try to make Falls Township like the best place that you live. And part of that would be making the decisions to make it the best place, and I would think the best.
I'm sorry, Mr. Could you make sure you speak up a little bit?
I would think that would be to make that to make the best decisions, to make it one of the best places to live, and I believe that would be like making it have the best air quality, and that would be this decision. And I don't know. That's basically what I wanted to say about Elcon. But I'm also a PA tree tender, and I noticed on your agenda that you're doing tree trimming, and I just wanted to see if you could ask that your tree trimmers not do topping. Oh, I've seen it.
I'm glad you saw that. That's actually, we're contracting with a company to take care of trees that have been damaged by ash borer.
Okay.
You know, those kinds of insects, the invasive species that are, especially in the upper part of Bucks County, they've done a tremendous amount of damage. Now they're starting to move south, and we've been dealing with some serious problems with trees being destroyed by the, emerald ash borers. And so they're specifically the trees we have to get rid of, especially if they're on our property, because they pose a danger to people coming to our parks. So that's specifically what that's for.
Will you be replacing the trees after you
Well, depending on where they're located, some of them are in pretty heavily wooded areas. I mean, we have a shade tree commission, and so we take their advice. We've planted about 700 trees over the past several years in this township.
Thank you.
So yeah. All right. Thanks. Gail, Cher, Rob. Is that right? Gail, Cher, Rob? Or Rab? No? Gail? No? Oh, okay. All right. That's all right. Some people sign up thinking you have to sign up. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, it happens. That's okay. No problem. That's all right. Sorry. I'm going to put you on the spot. Steve C.K.?
Uh-oh. He's got a props.
He's got a prop.
Hello, my name's
Danny's gonna be jealous.
Steve C.K. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, my wife is sick of me coming here, so I hope you guys vote against this thing and drive a stake through its heart soon. Make It'll make my wife happy, and then it'll make you happy because you won't have to listen to this stupid stuff I say all the time. But anyway, I'm going to give somebody a compliment soon, but just bear with me. You know, we got a nitwit in the White House because a lot of people lack confidence back in 2016 in both parties in their ability to govern. And they wanted the government to give them good economic security, and they thought that both parties were focused too much on winning, staying in power, making money, rather than listening to the people. Now, they had that perception. And that's why we got that situation in the White House right now, one of the reasons. But what we need, I'm a big believer in good government. And that's what we need from you. We need good government. And the issue isn't economic security here, although it's a little bit, but it's the safety of our citizens. And that's what you got a chance to show that you can shine. We've got to think about the health of our children and our grandchildren. And we don't want to think about winning. We want to think about governing well. And 2 weeks ago, I was so proud. I was just so proud of your planning commission because to me, I mean, I just felt so good. That was an example of good governance. I mean, these people in the planning commission, they listened to the people coming here. They thought about the safety of the citizens. They listen to these people who come here, and these people, are any of you getting paid for coming here? I mean, they're sacrificing their time. They're getting their spouses mad at them. And they're not doing it for fame. They're not doing it for power. They're not doing it for politics, but because they sincerely concern about the community. They're concerned about people. They're concerned about the health and safety of not just their own kids, but other people's kids. So I saw the Planning Commission listen to the people, and they made a good decision. And I just hope that you can take that decision and just realize that's how politicians should govern. Okay? Listen to the people. So I know there's an upcoming vote in a couple weeks. I hope you can take their good advice and listen to the good people here who come here so sincerely and passionately. Some of them move me to tears. I hope they move you to tears. But we need that good decision. I'll descend a little bit into the ugliness of politics now, just a little. Democracy's got its faults, but you know it's the best system we have. But I just want to remind you that this is a good vote, not just for the people of Falls, but here are the people who get in Bucks County water from the Delaware: Bensalem, Bristol, Chalfont, Doylestown, Hilltown, all these people in all these towns who vote. They'll be voting in November. Lower Makefield, Lower Southampton, Middletown Township, Morrisville. They all get water from the Delaware, which could be polluted by this decision you might make. New Britain, New Hope, Newtown, my own Newtown, Soulbury, Telford, Tullytown, they all get water from the Delaware. Warrington, a lot of votes here. West Rock Hill, Yardley, all these people in all these townships, they will soon know whether you make a decision that will help them or hurt them, okay? So I'm really hoping that in a couple weeks you make a good decision. I can start waving this sign around. Bob Harvey for county commissioner. I'll be so happy to do it. And I'll be telling all the people in all those towns I just mentioned that we got to vote for Bob Harvey. But if the vote goes the other way, I got this sign. DiGiorelamo, however you say it, for county commissioner. And I don't want to send this sign around, but this issue is so important, we need to elect Bob Harvey for county commissioner. Thank you.
All right, that's the end of the public comment period. Just want to comment on a couple things based on some comments that were made just recently by members of the public. First off, thank you for coming out and those who exercise their right to free speech, obviously. Just one of the speakers made a comment about tax relief. We mentioned this before. There was a tax relief abatement period for 14 years for about 1,300 acres of what is in the U.S. Steel property. The whole U.S. Steel property is roughly 2,800 acres, 2,700 acres. That tax abatement period ended December 31st of 2018. So all the properties that are there now are paying their taxes. So there isn't any tax-free zone anymore in that area. So just to clarify that. Comments also made reference to PennDOT's responsible for cleanup of spills. I don't think we said that. So PennDOT's responsible for the roads that these are coming on. In terms of our emergency response plan, we do have one. In fact, just a few meetings ago, we actually approved a renewal. Kind of basically the emergency action plan. We kind of approved a renewal of that. Our fire marshal is our emergency management coordinator. The reason it's not on the website, I would assume, is it's about that thick. And so it's a little bit difficult to put that on there. But we do obviously have staff here in this township. We have 3 very, very, very good fire companies, and the one of which who handles this particular area is pretty well trained when it comes to these kinds of instances and dealing with these kinds of facilities in many ways. So they are pretty. We have a lot of faith in them. So if there were a spill, just to clarify the process, first responders would come from Falls. DEP would immediately be notified, and as soon as they arrive, they would take control over any kind of hazardous spill that they felt was large enough to warrant their involvement in that. So. And with respect to the issue of putting issues on the referendum, Pennsylvania doesn't have that is part of its constitution. Mr. Clark, do you want to comment on what we can and cannot put for referendums?
Sure, certainly. The use of referendums is extremely limited in Pennsylvania, and as the speaker mentioned, you're not allowed to put advisory opinions on there. The speaker also made mention of a referendum in Delaware County for liquor licenses coming into what would be known as previously dry towns, and that is one of the areas that has been enumerated by the legislature that is appropriate for a referendum. The legislature does not want elected officials abdicating their authority by putting everything on a referendum. They want to make sure that the elected officials do what they're supposed to do when making decisions on certain matters. And land development applications, of which this is one of those areas that is squarely within your authority and your discretion and would not be eligible for a referendum. As a practical matter, the Elcon application, preliminary land development, is scheduled for the 30th of this month, and under the time limits within the MPC, a decision will be made on this project long before the November election. So even if this could go on the ballot, the issue will be long since resolved by that time.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, again, we appreciate people's input. So we're going to move on. Item 3 on our agenda is consider bids for landscaping services at the township facilities for years 2019, 2020, 2021. Mr. Gray?
On Thursday, April 11th, township representatives opened sealed landscape bids for township properties for the year 2019 with options for years 2020
All right, you know
and
what? We'll take a short recess. We'll allow people to leave. So if those are welcome to stay, but we'll allow you to leave, and then we'll go back to business. Okay, we're going to call our meeting back to order. We were taking a look at agenda item number 3, consider bids for landscaping services at the township facilities for 2019, 2020, 2021. Mr. Gray.
On Thursday, April 11th, township representatives opened sealed landscaping bids for township properties for the year 2019 with options for years 2020 and 2021. The results are as follows. First company, WDB Lawn and Garden. 2019 was $22,178, 2020 was $23,587, and 2021 $23,971. Second bid, Realty Landscaping, $46,985 for 2019, $47,925 for 2020, and $48,884 for 2021. Based on the bid results, WDB Lawn and Garden is the lowest responsive bidder for each of the 3 years. The Board of Supervisors is asked to consider WDB Lawn and Garden for the landscaping services at Falls Township properties for the 3 years, contingent on securing a Falls Township business license and finalizing an insurance requirement.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from board members?
I don't have any.
I don't either. We've used WDB the last 3 or 4 years.
3 years, yes.
Okay.
And
Right.
the price is half as much.
Yeah. Public comment? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to award the 2019, 2020, 2021 landscaping work to WDB Lawn and Garden for the amounts specified in the April 12th, 2019 memo?
Yes, so moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, now, item number 4, consider bid for tree trimming and removal of tree services in Falls Township. Mr. Gray?
On Thursday, April 11th, township representatives opened a sealed bid for tree trimming and removal on township properties. The one result was as follows. Jimmy's Tree and Landscaping Contractors, LLC. The rates were half-day rate, $975, full-day rate, $1,780, emergency hourly rate, $330, and crane hourly rate, $225. Based on the results, Jimmy's Tree and Landscape Contractors, LLC is the lowest responsive bidder. The Board of Supervisors is asked to consider Jimmy's Tree and Landscape Contractors, LLC for the tree trimming services of Falls Township properties, contingent on securing a Falls Township business license, execution of the contract, and finalizing an insurance requirement.
Okay, comments or questions?
So we only got one bid?
Yes, sir.
Cut above that?
They did not.
They didn't come back this year?
Not this year. I think it was called All the Above.
All the.
All the above, right?
All the Above.
How does these rates compare to last year's, dear?
2 of the rates we were able to compare. The emergency rate last year was $425. This year it was $330. And the crane hourly rate last year was $350. This year is $225. I also contacted a municipality asking them how the service was. They were satisfied with their service. Another municipality used them as well, and I heard that theirs was also fine. I talked to the Public Works Director, Jason Lawson. He was also satisfied with the quotes.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
I had the same couple concerns as Mr. Rocco, how we were, the comparison to something else, and I thought about last year we had it was like a big deal. We had a bunch of interest, and whenever all that interest went, maybe everybody's busy,
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Did we handle this?
Oh, yeah.
Your office?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Good. Mr. Dents?
I'm good.
Okay. Comments or questions? See no hands. All right, is there a motion then to retain the services of Jimmy's Tree and Landscaping Contractors, LLC, for the purpose of tree trimming and removal on township properties for 2019? using the amount specified in the April 12th memo, contingent upon securing a Falls Township business license, execution of the contract, and finalizing insurance.
So
I'll
moved.
make that motion.
Oh, second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Item 5, consider the purchase of pool chemicals and suppliers for the Pinewood Pool through Bucksmont Aquatic Consortium. Rather than buy these kinds of chemicals on our own, for several years now, we go in with other municipalities in Montgomery County, get a bulk rate, essentially. And so I see Mr. Andrews is here. Now, do you want to let him do this, Mr. Gray? Or?
Certainly.
Okay. Well, I think you can go over. You want to go over the specifics as you
Sure.
have in front of you there. Sorry.
That's all right. Mr. Andrews did provide the results for the pool chemicals for the upcoming season. The bid was awarded to Buckman's for 2019. We purchased chlorine, hydrochloric acid, and soda ash. The prices this year are for chlorine, $1.47 per gallon, hydrochloric acid, $18.75 for a 5-gallon carboy, and soda ash, $15.50 for a 50-pound bag. Just for reference, last year, the township spent $6,372 on this expense.
All right. Mr. Andrews?
Good evening, everyone. I could give you some numbers from last year, what went up. Last year, we spent $1.18 a gallon. It did go up. Price of doing business, everything seems to go up. For the chlorine specifically, we're actually saving money on the soda ash. That was $16.75 a bag. We're down to $15.50, so we're saving a little money there. And the 5-gallon carboys, it's a 50-cent difference increase. So the advantage of going in with the other municipalities is a no-brainer. Like I've been saying for the last several years, it saved us a lot of money. We'd be paying probably $1 more a gallon if we went on our own. So, I just think we should just keep doing that as we go forward. We watch our, chemical use, try not to overdo it if we don't have to. But, this relationship and arrangements benefited the township, I feel, very well the past several years.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. Andrews?
No.
No.
And Buckman's, we've used Buckman's for a while.
Yeah, they're pretty much the main game in town.
Yeah.
Not too many people are bidding on it anymore. They pretty much took Baradelli's over. That was their biggest
That was gonna
competitor.
say, there was another one. I
Yeah.
don't know what the name was. Right. Okay. All right. Public comment? See no hands. Okay. Is there a motion then to what's the proper choose the terminology here, to accept the or to enter into the agreement for the Bucksmont Aquatic Consortium bid for chemicals with Buckman's for 2019 season?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right. Okay.
All right, thank you. Have a
Appreciate
great
it.
night.
Thanks,
You too. Item 6, consider resolution for the sewage facilities planning module for behavioral health and personal care, 312 North Oxford Valley Road. Mr. Gray.
Yes, the board is asked to consider this resolution tonight. This is for the property at 312 North Oxford Valley Road. Their request is for the change of use to an increased sewage flows from 1 EDU to 5 EDUs. The increased sewage flows would go to 1,080 per gallon. In addition, Mr. Jones is here for any questions you may have.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for Mr. Jones? Mr. Clark knows a lot about sewage as well. That's not a lawyer joke. That's actually true.
It is a lawyer joke, but it's also
It could be a lawyer joke. It could be a lawyer joke. Yeah. Comments or questions?
So they're expecting more people, I'm
Yeah, I
guessing?
was curious about the increase.
Yeah, 1 to 5.
Yeah, we changed the zoning for this property, right? This is the property we changed zoning for recently, so they could be a sort of medical office, which is kind of what they've always been anyway.
It was a law office before, and now they have, I believe, 10 patients and 5 employees
Okay.
proposed.
Okay.
So the sewage flows went from 1 EDU to a total of 5 for 4 additional, and those EDUs were on a 2016 connection management plan.
And just for the purposes of everybody who's not into this business, what's an EDU?
It's called an equivalent dwelling unit, and basically it's the way that DEP allocates capacity. So if you had 800 gallons per day in flow, you would have 2 EDUs. If you considered an EDU 400 gallons per day, it's essentially the flow that would be anticipated from one household.
Okay. Okay. Everybody good?
Good, yeah.
Something else, Mr. Clark?
No, I have nothing else.
All right, so this would be a resolution, right? It would be 1913. Okay, comments or questions from the public? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to approve resolution 19-13 for the sewage facilities planning module for 312 North Oxford Valley Road?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes from the March 19th meeting. Comments, questions, corrections, suggestions?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, engineers report. Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I trust you have a copy of our March engineers report in your packet. As you will see from a position of status, there are no new submissions made in the month of March. The red highlights are basically updates for various stages of construction, and for the most part, most land development projects are now at the state of final plan approval, Mylars, developers agreements, et cetera. Earth disturbances, you'll see there is some highlights regarding them, and they are again related to construction activities and various stages of construction. In terms of the township public improvements projects, I would touch on a couple. The 2018 road program, the wearing course pavement for Walton Drive will be going down at the upcoming spring break time for the Eleanor Roosevelt Elementary School. All concrete sidewalks are in place, and the ramps for the driveways are in place so that the residents will have full access to their homes by the holiday weekend. We anticipate bustle and services to start next week on landscaping, topsoiling, seeding, Walton Drive. At the same time, Shared Drive will go into full depth reconstruction, and we anticipate 1 week to complete that work, as well as the Lions Drive stub between Share and Walton. So we're looking at about 4 to 5 weeks to complete the project.
Complete the project in 4 to 5 weeks?
4 to 5 weeks, yep. The 2019 road program, we're in various stages of development of the plans. We anticipate having our first residents meeting probably in 3 to 4 weeks when we get the full base survey. We'll invite people out to explain what the process is going to be, try to alleviate some of the, anxiety they might have when they see the construction project come in. More updates coming on that. And in terms of the culvert project, I'd like to circle back to that. We have an opportunity. We met with PEMA, the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, and we think we have a good opportunity to expand the scope of the project, include improvements to the golf course that I think are overdue, reduce further the floodplain along the entire corridor of Queen Anne Creek. It's going to be more engineering. It's going to be a bigger study. It's going to be a bigger scope project, but when we presented it to the PEMA folks, they were pretty excited about it and said we have a good chance of being successful with that grant. That would cause a bit of a delay to the construction project, and we are in a position now where we could go out to bid, and we're on target and on budget, but I feel we'd like to take 30 days and further dig in on, what the implications of delaying this for the grant would be. Report back to you in May, and seek your advice at that point.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. That golf course could use all the help it can get.
Sure can. And we've identified a couple of improvements that we think would hit multiple targets. We know our MS4 program, is due, and, what's going to help the grant would be if we can include green infrastructure. And I think that the improvements to the golf course are also going to give us a lot of points in our MS4 program, as well as the community rating system when that comes to fruition. So there's a lot of positives.
What kind of grant are we looking at in terms of percentages? Of
75-25 split, and it's a hazard mitigation program.
Wow.
So I believe, and when we come back and give you our report on next month, we'll identify what the cost would be, what the cost share would be. And I'm fairly confident you're going to see a cost savings from what we're committed to now, and be able to do a lot more, good things in terms of the floodplain and the golf course.
Okay. And how much of a delay if we went with the PEMA grant?
About a year and a half. And we did speak with the PennDOT inspector who gave us the qualification that it was in a bit of disrepair and we had to pay attention, and he's perfectly comfortable with that time delay. I did speak with our public works director, he as well, and I spoke to the fire marshal, and he's also, perfectly fine with the delay. The idea will be we'll continue to monitor it. We don't see any imminent failures coming, it's the shoulder that's really failing, and there's things that we can do to kind of Band-Aid it along in that time frame. But that'll be something else we'll discuss in more detail next month.
Any questions, Mr. Jones?
No.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the engineer's report?
What's the status of the Quaker Penn Park?
Quaker Penn Park, the compost toilet facility is in place, and it's waiting for, I believe the manager has the bids for the electrical work, and once the electrical work has been completed, then I think the final backfilling will take place. And the docks are in, and the boat ramp is open. We did have a couple of minor issues in the installation of the docks, but we're working on the remedies for them now. Essentially, the cable, I think part of it wasn't available at the time, and I believe the public, or the contractor that installed them was a little bit too tall, and we noticed a couple issues. I'm not sure, Brian Andrews left. But we've since rectified it, and we're going to have the dock manufacturing company come out and make a couple of minor repairs for the season, but nothing that would shut it down.
Yeah, Clinton and I were down there Saturday inspecting it, and I thought the cable looked loose.
I think it's loose now, and it was too tight when I initially installed it, and we had the dock because it was pulling, it was kind of torquing the docks, and the dock manufacturer came out and put a, like a splice in.
Yeah.
But it's going to become a turnbuckle in the spring, something more robust when he comes back to finish it.
Okay. Thank you.
So we didn't put the bids back out, did we?
Yes, the
okay.
electric and cameras are on the street. I believe the inspection date, the tour is next Friday, the 26th, and I believe the bid opening is on the 9th of
Okay.
May. So it should be before you next month.
Okay.
Joe, do you know if there's a completion date for the St. Joe's property?
We're thinking, last time I spoke with my inspector, he said by the end of the year. And they have, they're fully into all of the foundation work. All of the buildings are now under construction.
Yeah, you could tell they must have got some money because they're moving.
Probably a bank release for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them are constructed. And I know, Mr. Rocco, you asked, or Mr. Harvey, you asked if there were safety lighting. And I did find out that there's a handful of lights along, I think, the back road. It's safe, but they're not all lit yet, but they're working in the right direction for that. But yeah, he thinks by the end of the year.
Cool.
No, good, thank
Okay.
you.
Is there a motion to approve the engineer's report or accept the engineer's report for March 2019?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, bill list for this month, $1,918,968.21. Of that, 1.9 million, 1.2 million is salary and benefits. Another 112,000 is for workers' compensation insurance. 125,000 for the composting toilet that Mr. Jones mentioned, which is down at Quaker Penn Park. Of the 34,000 in other disability insurance, plus about $37,000 in state money, and about $37,000 in escrow funds, which is developers' money that's being spent, not township money. So you add sort of all of that up, and we're up to, well, actually not even all of that. We're about 1.4 or so of the 1.9. Is just those handful of items. Comments or questions from Mr. Gray regarding the bill list?
No.
I have none.
Okay, motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Pullen?
Oh.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, we had an executive session before, so up to the police report. I see Lieutenant Ward in the back.
Good evening. We had coffee with a cop March 29th at the Falls Senior Citizen Center. It was very well attended. There was some good back and forth conversations between both sides. We're going to be having another one within the next 2 months, the chief said. We're probably going to keep it at the Falls Senior Citizen Center. There's some misinformation out there. You do not have to be a member of the Falls Community Senior Citizen Center. Anybody can come to these meetings. We just use the facility. So if anybody would like to come, please come. National Drug Take Back and our Great Shredder event will be taking place next weekend, April 27th. The Shredder event takes place from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's open to all Falls Township residents, 6-bag or box minimum. There is no businesses, please. The Drug Take Back will also be happening the 27th at the same location in front of the police department. It will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All pill form and liquid form medications can be dropped off there.
You said for the shredder event, 6-bag or box minimum or maximum?
Maximum, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say,
Maximum,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that.
Yes. There's no needles, please, for the drug give back. Somebody showed up last time with 100 needles. We can't take them, and it's a nightmare. Once we see them, then
Right.
we have to do something with
Right.
them. At this time of the year, we like to remind everybody, spring cleaning, you want to start selling items online. We do have a spot out in front of the police department that's lighted and cameraed for your safety. If you don't feel comfortable meeting someone, you can come here to the Township building, and these spots are marked in green. We do monitor the cameras, and it's very well lit. So if you feel like you want to come here, please do. Tax season just ended yesterday. The scams are out there. We're getting an increased call list for the IRS scams. The IRS will never call you on the phone. If they want you, they're going to come and get you, and they're going to send you a letter. But if someone calls you for any type of payment of bill, PICO, Water Authority, any kind of taxes, no reputable business or government entity asks you to pay for in gift cards. That's what these scams do. They ask you to go out and purchase $1,000 worth of gift cards and then give them the numbers. And once you do, it's gone. There's nothing we can do for you. So please, if you hear something like that, call us right away. We'll try to get on it, but most of these scams are out of the country. It's very difficult to track them down. The applications for the Falls Township Youth Police Academy are being accepted. You can go to your school guidance counselors, the website, or our Crime Watch page. All the information is listed there at those 3 sites. If you have any questions, you can call the police department, and we can give you more information on that. We are currently switching our rapid recovery program, which was the program that we had for people that may have an autistic child or someone who has mental deficiency in old age. There's a tracker that is placed like a wristband around their arm in case they wander away. We are switching it from rapid recovery to safety net. I'm not very tech savvy, but the way it was explained to me is our old system, which was rapid recovery, could probably track you down to a size of this room, which is great, especially if you didn't know where anybody was to begin with. The new safety net program will tell us what seat you're sitting in this room. That's how detailed it is. So it seems like a no-brainer for us to switch the system. I believe the solicitor reviewed this and approved it, saw the
We're looking at
the
it
details.
tonight. Yep.
Okay. So that'll be out there. If anybody needs that service, please contact us. If we do run into a situation like that, we do give information out to people. If we do had a 71-year-old wander away last week, and we gave information to them right away about this program. But it's very helpful to us.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Comments or questions for Lieutenant Ward?
I just have one.
Yes.
At the Coffee with the Cup, was there any concerns that you care to share or need to share, or anything we can do to help?
I was not at the meeting. I was back here. Everybody else went to the meeting. I stayed here. So they said there was a good back and forth. A lot of it was scams. A lot of the senior citizens had concerns about the different scams that are going on because they're the targeted community. And there was some issues with, I believe, with ATVs and quads that people were complaining about. We did some more research on that, and we found that if the township declares an emergency, a state of emergency, whether it be a snowstorm, rain event, whatever you decide, you declare a state of emergency, ATVs and quads are now legal to be used on the roads under Pennsylvania law. Anything other than that, they're not supposed to be on the roads at all. There's no justification to have them out there. You're going to get hurt. And if we do catch you, you're going to get a stack load of tickets, and we are going to take your vehicle.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, manager comment. Mr. Gray, you got quite a few things, don't you?
I certainly do. Thank you. First item is in regard to a officer we have here, James Moretti. At the Police Pension Committee meeting held last week, March 10th, the Pension Committee approved a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to place Patrolman Jim Moretti on a non-service-related disability pension. The board is asked to consider approving an honorable discharge for Patrolman Jim Moretti, placing him on a non-service-related disability.
Yeah, Roy, a very sad situation for Officer Moretti. He was a very, very good police officer, but illness basically has affected him, and he will not be able to return to work here in Falls. So, how many years was he's been here?
Since 1990?
Yeah, I was going
Yes.
to say about 30. Yeah, close to 30 years. So, certainly we want to extend our best wishes to Officer Moretti for wish him good health moving forward. Any comments or questions regarding this proposal for Mr. Gray?
No.
No? Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the honorable discharge for Patrolman Moretti, placing him on a non-service related disability pension?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next item I have is in regard to a general policy for the police department. This is for an in-car camera system. This particular policy has been reviewed by police personnel and the Township Solicitor's Office. The board is asked to consider this in-car camera system policy at this time.
Okay. All right, comments or questions? And I think Ms. Gallagher worked on this. Comments or questions for Ms. Gallagher regarding this policy?
Does the policy, if approved tonight, go into effect immediately?
It will go into effect tomorrow.
Okay. And we've have cars with cameras in them now?
We've
I actually defer to Lieutenant Warren.
Everybody looks at the same
Yeah.
time.
We have 2 marked units currently that have cameras in them. A third unmarked unit is about to get a camera in it. I made a proposal to Mr. Gray and the chief, working on a 6-year program, because they are very expensive.
Yeah.
So as we get new cars in, we would put that into the purchase cost of the cars, and we'll start outfitting. And I'm guessing around 6 years it would take us to have all of our cars outfitted.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, I'm good, yeah.
Good.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion then to approve the policy regarding cameras in police vehicles?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township received a letter from Joe Jones at JEA Associates regarding escrow release number 8 for St. Joseph's Court. They are recommending a release of $51,637.50 in escrow release number 8. The board is asked to consider this at this time.
Okay. Comments or questions?
Nope.
No.
No. Is there a motion to approve the release, $51,637.50, St. Joseph's Court?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
The following businesses were approved to open operations in Falls Township during the month of March. They include 212 Lincoln Highway, Suite 301, that is Ace Automotive, 229 Plaza Boulevard, Suite 29A, Poke Ocean Japanese Cuisine, 220
Name again?
Poke Ocean Japanese Cuisine, 225 Lincoln Highway, Suite 19L, Micro Trap Corporation.
What did they do?
They are a manufacturer of instrumental and air filtration equipment. Just want to announce there is a free bulk disposal day. This will be held on Saturday, April 20th, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. This bulk disposal program is for resident homeowners of Falls Township and Tullytown Borough. Proof of residency is required. This will be located at Groves Landfill behind Waste Management's Turkey Hill office, located at 1000 New Ford Mill Road. Feel free to drop off bulky waste items, yard waste, and appliances. For additional information, please call 1-800-869-5566. Mike, do you have...
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gray. Board members, on April 10th, you would have received a copy of a letter that was sent to my office from Advantage Engineers, a proposal to provide the township with some geotechnical engineering services. This matter, the retention of Advantage Engineers has been discussed with the township engineer, Mr. Jones, and I would ask for a motion to approve Advantage Engineers at an amount not to exceed $8,000 to assist the solicitor's office with a land development matter.
right, comments or questions for board members?
No.
Is there a motion then to retain the services of Advantage Engineers in the amount not to exceed $8,000?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
I do have a few items this evening. We have reviewed an agreement with Tyler Technologies, which is providing software and related services for the finance department. We have worked with them to fix some of the terms in here, and we're still in the process of finalizing some of those, so we would ask that this be approved, subject to final approval of the solicitor's office.
Okay. Questions for either Mr. Gray, since it's a finance issue, or Ms. Gallagher?
No. None.
No? Okay. All right, is there a motion then to authorize the service agreement or approve the service agreement pending solicitor's approval for Tyler Technologies for the finance department software?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And as Lieutenant Ward had referenced, we did review an agreement with Safety Net, which is for a search and rescue agency agreement. We have reviewed this agreement. We find it in a form acceptable for the township's adoption tonight.
Okay, this is the program that Lieutenant Ward spoke about. So let's see. So we're not approving the expenditure of money, right? That's already been budgeted for, or that's, or just, is this the agreement, correct?
This is just the agreement.
The agreement, right, okay. That's what I thought. I wanted to verify that. Okay, any comments or questions?
No.
Just one question, Lieutenant Ward, maybe you can help, but who buys the tracking equipment, like the tracking device for, say I needed one? Does my family have to pay for that, or?
From my understanding, there's no cost for the residents.
So
It's,
they contact the police department if they're interested, then you guys see if they're a good fit?
Yes, and
Okay.
then what they do is it's usually in a bracelet form that they can't take off. And then we have an officer go out maybe once a month to make sure the device is working properly and just have contact with the family.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, comments, any of the comments or questions?
No.
No? Okay, is there a motion then to approve the agreement with Safety Net Tracking Systems?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
On March 4th, the township received a special events application from Dick's Sporting Goods. They intend to host a product demonstration it's going to be a 3-day process from March 23rd through, or I'm sorry, May 23rd through May 27th. There's 3 live days, and they'll feature live product demonstrations of kayaks, bikes, bass fishing equipment, and other related sporting events. We have reviewed the application. It has been reviewed and approved by the police department, the fire department, as well as the code department. And this would be a motion to approve the special event application and the execution of the indemnity agreement that we prepared for them to sign.
Okay. So just for, because we've never had to do this specific kind of special event. So Dick's Sporting Goods, which is obviously located very close to where we're sitting, wants to take part of the parking lot and convert some of it into sort of a practice track. You could take bikes out and just sort of ride around like even BMX bikes. They're going to build a very, very large, some kind of pool of some type that you'd be able to actually take kayaks into the water and also practice casting a couple rods, I guess. I don't think you're going to catch anything, but, I don't think they're going to stock it with fish. I don't know. But you think so?
It might.
Yeah, you never know.
That's not on the application.
That could be the Pokey Ocean Sushi place down that Mr. Gray talked about. There we go. They're the easy kind of fish to catch since they're already dead. But Mr. Gray's a big sushi man over there.
I love it.
Big sushi guy. Very interesting. Certainly it sounds kind of, sounds like something, you want to go see, which I guess is the whole point. Comments or questions from the board?
No.
Okay, special event request, essentially something that's out of the ordinary for a particular area, goes through a review of all the agencies, departments rather, that Ms. Gallagher talked about. Is there a motion to approve the special event request and the indemnity agreement for Dick's Sporting Goods?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And finally, at last month's meeting, the board approved the hiring of the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association to assist with consulting services for the township. We have reviewed an agreement that will allow that to proceed. It's a consulting agreement, and it is an informed acceptable for the board's execution this evening.
Okay. So questions for Ms. Gallagher on that?
No.
No.
So we voted already, correct? We don't have to.
This is just to approve the agreement, the actual hiring.
The actual agreement.
Yeah, that's just for the agreement.
Okay, so there's a motion, is there a motion then to approve the
Yes.
actual agreement?
I'll make the motion.
Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police, okay?
I will second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right,
That's everything, thank you.
okay, thank you. All right, board comment, Mr. Boraski?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dents?
No comment tonight.
No comment.
No comment, okay. Couple things, just first off, our next regular scheduled meeting is in May. It is actually Election Day, which is typical. It usually falls on Election Day in the spring. So we are, interested, I'm assuming we're interested in moving that meeting. Do we want to move it the day before or the day after? It doesn't matter to me.
And my preference would be the day before, if you guys aren't, if there's no conflict.
Cinco de Mayo?
Monday.
Oh, that's the Sunday, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right, so move the May meeting to the day before, was it 20th, I guess it is? Yeah,
20th.
May 20th, 2019. Okay? All right. Okay. And just lastly, just want to wish everyone coming up on a sort of holiday season a very happy Easter and a very blessed Passover to all our Jewish friends and neighbors here in Falls Township. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.